Oh, you're me. You muted.
Everyone,
There we go.
oh, sorry, guy. But hello, everyone. There we go. Sorry about that. My laptop is playing up tonight. I do apologise. Hello, and welcome to the Tonight Show podcast for today, the 19th of June, 2023. I will update that at the bottom there. Anyway, on the feed, as you can see. Hello, guys. Welcome to the show. The 19th of June, live on YouTube tonight. And yes, as you can tell in the background, I have had an old friend come out tonight from the, should I say, the storage box, and is certainly keeping me cool tonight. The fan is out. It has been a very warm day today, and it's going to get hotter this weekend. So certainly fans need. This fan is certainly keeping me cool tonight as well. I'm joined by live participant with Zach Chambers for all the latest news. Hello, Zach.
Hello, Charlie. Hello, mate.
I'm sure we're all going to have the fans out over this weekend, with temperatures soaring, expected to reach over 30 degrees Celsius. So more on that in a little while. So yes, let's start. I want to start with the F1 because McLaren's Canada curse has unfortunately struck, and if you're a McLaren fan, okay, over the weekend, including myself and including so many other YouTubers and people who are fans of F1 in general, you all have known the unfortunate, but could I say, collision that should have been avoidable, but it wasn't avoidable. It was Canada 2011 repeated again. This time, though, Lando Norris retires from the race and Oscar Piastri continues. And the collision, in my opinion, was unacceptable, should never have happened. Lando Norris made a very uncharacteristic mistake in the closing stages of that race. Otherwise, the race was pretty much a snooze fest. Which, this F1 generation is just getting... These new rules are just rubbish. These new cars are just... Ground effect, please. They've not done what they've intended to do. So... yeah, the racing, it's been most of the races this last 9-10 races been won by pot from, that's why I'm losing to the first corner. So, yeah, well, anyway, my heart sank when that happened to two McLarens colliding. Obviously, George Russell for Mercedes took the win. No surprise then. Russell drove really well. She qualified on pole for that race as well. Max Verstappen finishing second. At one point, Red Bull did launch a protest after the race, claiming that Russell drove unnecessarily slowly behind the safety car. That turns out that got rejected because Verstappen is second on the podium, or is on the podium there. A maiden podium for Andrea Kimi Antonelli in third. Great result for him after a few races of misfortune. Gets a podium, huge haul of points for him, and it's his career best result of the season. So well done, Andrea Kimi Antonelli there. Fourth place went to Oscar Piastri. As I mentioned, Piastri was involved in that lap 67 collision with Lando Norris out on the start-finish straight, just after the start line. It was actually just after where the McLaren pit wall was, who Andrea Stella looked absolutely dejected. You could tell he was not happy. He was very disappointed. And I was as well. Lando Norris made a very silly mistake. And I have to say, what was he thinking? Honestly, why go for a gap that doesn't exist? And he's now lost more points in the World Championship. If he can think he can win, look, I'm glad Lando, apologised. He done the right thing because, it was his fault. But Lando, please stop making these mistakes. You're in a World Championship fight. Do you not want to win the World Championship by doing this? Come on. It's gutting, and he didn't have a great qualifying. 7th place was a disaster. He messed up his quali runs on the Saturday. Charles Leclerc was 5th for Ferrari. A sign of, again, a difficult weekend. Lewis Hamilton 6th. Pressure on their team boss, Fred Vasseur. There have been rumours going around that he could even leave the team. Obviously, the news has been denied, but there have been rumours. Fernando Alonso 7th. A decent result for him, actually, in the Aston Martin. Nico Hulkenberg getting more points again for Sauber. I tell you what, he's on a roll at the moment, Nico Hulkenberg. 2 races in a row in the top 10. Maybe more than that, I don't know. But obviously, Spain and Canada in the top 10. Esteban Ocon was 9th for Haas. 10th went away with Carlos Sainz Jr. or Carlos Sainz, should I say, in Williams. Then it goes Behrman, Tsunoda once again pointless for Red Bull, who constructor champion. Franco Colapinto had a decent qualifying, but the race just, he beat Pierre Gasly, but again, Alpine so on. Bortoleto 14th in that race for the Kick Sauber. Gasly 15th. Isaac Hadjar, unfortunately, had a disappointing weekend in 16th. Lance Stroll was 1 lap down, but he also got a 10-second penalty for colliding, should I say, forcing Pierre Gasly off.
This is something that you told me on the Saturday. Do you want to get to know like, well, but no, well, really?
Oh, we lost him. Oh, dear me. I think we've lost Charlie. Yeah, I think we've lost him. He comes up.
Which I thought was a very harsh penalty. It should only have been.
Oh no, we're back.
Sorry, my I'm very, very.
You're back.
Disappointing ending for McLaren and Lando Norris. I do apologise, guys. My laptop is absolutely playing up tonight. And Alex Albon as well. Liam Lawson, should I say, and Alex Albon retired from that race. So enough of me rambling on now. I could go on all day about this. I'm going to bring Zach in now. Zach, your thoughts on this Canadian Grand Prix, including, well, the inevitable and controversial collision. What's that controversial? The inevitable collision between the two McLarens, which ended Lando Norris's race.
Yeah, again, I have to say, it was another very strategy-driven race. Would some of the choices of tyres work, and would they hold on, particularly as well, given the fact that this is at least a 2-stop race with tyres a bit softer this year as well. But Saturday appeared to be when it mattered, because George Russell pulled off the shock pole position on a tyre that was a step up on the medium tyre rather than soft. It looks like the soft couldn't last, was not as good on the full lap compared to the medium, and it worked well for the likes of Max Verstappen particularly, and George Russell as well, and it actually worked out for Kimi Antonelli, who got off the line very well and overtook Oscar Piastri and managed to hold that position. It looked like at points that Oscar Piastri could have got ahead, but just missed out at the pit stops as well. So unfortunately, he just missed out on the podium, Piastri, and there's several other factors we'll get into it as well. The Ferraris were 5th and 6th, and you had Alonso in 7th. A good result, considering. Hulkenberg, another good result in 8th position. That's another 4 points for him as well. And that Sauber, who running really well. Ocon 9th, Sainz 10th, Behrman just missing out in 11th, and you had Tsunoda in 12th as well. But let's go down the order a bit, because the big point really is at the moment what happened between Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. From a simple and quite reasonable opinion, it was Lando Norris's fault 100%. There is no doubt about it. What happened? It was 100% his fault. He went for a gap that he was never open, really. A gap that was too narrow, not good enough. And yeah, he made a silly driver mistake by doing that as well. So yeah, I think that was 100% his fault. He also got a 5-second time penalty afterwards. Now, you may be thinking, well, he didn't finish the race, so how could he get a 5-second penalty? Well, because he finished 90% of the race, he's classified as well. So, yeah, I know it says DNF on there, but he is technically classified. So he doesn't get a grid penalty for the next race, but Stewart predominantly found him in fault, and rightly so. Yeah, it was his fault, and actually it was a wasted mistake by Norris. I mean, at least he held his hand up saying it was his fault. But but yeah, it was really interesting to see. There was drama. Wasn't finished at the end of the race, by the way. It continued after the race had happened, because Red Bull lodged 2 protests against George Russell. One of them was driving 10 meters behind the safety car, and the other was for erratic driving. Now, They withdrew the erratic driving protest because it turns out he was following the Delta, but the stewards ultimately dismissed the 10-meter protest against them as well, and so George Russell kept his win, and the first win from either that isn't a McLaren or a Red Bull driver this year, I should say, as well, in that front as well. I think it's a fair enough decision if you ask me. I thought the protest was a bit silly from my perspective and just a way to try and get a victory. Driver of the day, obviously, Antonelli for getting that podium, really important, held off the McLaren Piastri as well, and the first podium of his career, and a thoroughly deserved one as well. So well done. Next up, Austria in 2 weeks' time. It's Red Bull's home race at the Red Bull Ring. There'll definitely be a Red Bull crowd there as well. But whether the Red Bull will have the pace remains to see what goes on there.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, guys, because I'm not going to lie. I'm still struggling here with the McLaren situation. I want to show you this, guys, okay? Doesn't that give you vibes of 2011, the Canadian Grand Prix? Does anyone remember that race? Okay. It was the longest ever F1 race, ever, okay? And Lewis Hamilton in the same position. So, I'm getting the vibe that this battle will be going through down to the wire. There's going to be a rivalry, I reckon. I mean, look, they took it on the chin. Oscar said, I'm sorry. Oscar actually said, I'm fine with it, you know. The relationship, I'm glad Lando stood up for that. When you watch the crash, okay, it is such a costly error. And Lando must, he must understand that when you are racing this, I'm going to play for you now the feed. I'm going to play for you now the highlight of the moment the crash happened in the race. So trust me, this had the writing on the wall potentially for Lando's championship hopes. And trust me, guys, when I say the McLarens certainly got themselves in the wars, they certainly did get themselves in the wars. Have a listen to this. This battle, by the way, lasted all the way down from the hairpin down the start-finish straight.
Piastri tries to fight back. The crowd on their feet in the grandstand. The top two in the World Championship side by side. Heading into the final chicane. Piastri and Norris separated by nothing to 200 miles per hour. Norris inching clear. Late on the brakes for Piastri. Does he make the corner? He does. But he's compromised. And Norris can't fight his way by. We go to turn one. No, he's rolling. The McLaren's guys. Lando Norris into the wall and out of the race. Right to turn 10 with Norris into 10th. And they ran into a slow on the pit straight. Oscar on the brakes on the inside. He pressed all. He was a bit weak through the right. That compromises the bit for the exit. And then we've got Lando with that slipstream. And he was actually hitting wing on the back of Oscar before getting alongside. So I think he's got to accept that's an error of judgment of the battle. And I think it is. It's a misjudgment. So that space moving up. And it just doesn't.
Are you alright, dude? Yeah, I'm sorry. Just hold myself. Sorry. Just leave it for me.
Well, admire the man for owning it straight away rather than calling foul. Just misjudged. Would have worked perfectly if it was any other angled attack to that first corner. But this is just a replay in my mind. We saw Hamilton and Button in that very same space.
You know what? I don't think it is. I think this is a bad misjudgment from Norris. Button and Hamilton in the wall, didn't they? They were slightly side by side, and Hamilton was going for a similar move, but they were actually slightly side by side. Norris is just driven into the back of Piastri there, and that's why he's taken the blame on the chip.
Yeah, I thought Oscar moved a bit more to the right, not to give a gap. Obviously, I don't expect something to be easy from him. Misjudged, it's a draw mistake. I say for him, so I apologize to my team and to Oscar for attempting something like that.
It was the first time I think we've probably seen you guys like that. You've got to go for it. Haven't you? If you fight for a while,
Yeah, but it's going for it like in the hairpin, good fair move. And there's Vince, like, wasn't it?
Just like me to find out if we want, like, I still have to get
obviously, just seeing that there for the first time, then just talk me through that maybe feeling from first for it.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously haven't seen it, so I don't really know. I was defending inside and then felt a small bump, and that's all I have at the moment. So, yeah, obviously a shame for the team.
Yeah, that was as a McLaren fan myself, that was quite disturbing watching that footage back. Watching it on here, on the live feed. I'm just going to get the live feed up now, guys. Of the collision, and me and Zach I'm going to get Zach's reaction to it as well. This is the collision that we've got actually on the screen that we're going to show you. Because I really want to dive into this. I know I'm not going to have time to do like a massive analysis of it. You can watch Jody and Palmer's full video on the F1 channel about this. But Zach, when you watch the on-ball of both, particularly of Lando Norris, he attempts to try and make a move in part of the circuit where you don't even want to feel, and he just, in theory, after making a great overtake at the hairpin, bottles it just before he gets to turn one.
Yeah, and I mean, Oscar. From my perspective, Oscar has a right to move over. He was well in front, and he wasn't in the path of Lando Norris. But I think what Lando's mistake was on this was that rather than sort of realize the path was closed and then try to move on to the outside instead, he tried to squeeze through a gap. You saw the gap closing, and in the instance you think you've got two things to do. You got to try and move right instead, or to try and do on the outside, or you try and squeeze through the inside, and the gap there was never going to fit. Looking at the car length, it was never going to happen, and either you're going to be forcing someone off into the wall, or you crash into them. And in this instance, Lando crashed into him, hit the wall, crashed into Piastri, didn't see where he was going, and therefore he was in the barriers and out of the race. I mean, it was completely silly. It wasn't necessary. I'm sure there'll be debate about the PIA rules and all that sort of things again, but I'm sure they're going to apply that anything to Lando, if anything now, rather than Oscar. But I don't think Oscar did anything wrong. I think it was totally 100% Lando's fault. I think Oscar defended fairly, and I think it was Lando's responsibility to make sure that he did not go into the back, and he failed to do that responsibility.
Please no papaya rules again. This is just absolutely ridiculous. I hate it when they do that. Team orders. Yeah, it's definitely on different strategies, but let these guys race. They're fighting for a world championship. It will get, as Jody and Palmer said, it is going to get, probably more spicy. Certainly, I mean, they both had DRS there. It's going to get more interesting. What's going to happen? I mean, I don't want this to happen at Silverstone. Please don't do this in your home race. Honestly, I don't want to be seeing it. I hope it's clean in Silverstone. Please comment down below, guys, what you make to the Canadian Grand Prix and the McLaren collision. As I said, we believe Lando was definitely at fault. Surprised he didn't get any penalty points for that as well, from what I've heard. So, yes. Speaking of that, I'm going to go for my plank of the week this week, which is actually Formula One. I'm sorry, I have to give it to Lando Norris as one of my nominations this week. I hate to say this, but yeah, going for that move on Oscar just was completely mistimed. It was a huge error of judgment. I'm glad Lando has accepted blame. One of my other nominations this week goes to Sky Sports for their ridiculous coverage of last weekend's Canadian Grand Prix. I have to say, you know, it was so biased, and I'm not going to lie, okay, this is what I'm going to say. It's not during the race, it was after the race. Now, during the week, F1 attended a movie launch in New York City ahead of the F1 film, which comes out next week. Now, on the plane, Craig Slater decided to disrupt everyone's flight. Yes, he's a journalist, of course, I get it. By asking questions, particularly to George Russell, about the collision about the safety car thing with Max Verstappen. And I'm like, yeah, we heard that in Canada. We've heard this in Spain. Just let these drivers enjoy their time in New York. And now they're all going on about these incidents again. And I'm not going to lie, David Croft made some very silly mistakes at the weekend during the commentary. I heard that one of my friends I spoke to at work, and I actually heard this as well from the commentary on, I think someone said it on TikTok or someone. I was watching a stream, Matt and Tommy. Crofty was making some errors. I was like, that's rare for David Croft. I know commentators do make errors, but it just seemed like Martin Brundle was well saying the racing was going to be exciting at the end. It was boring. What was I thinking? So they're definitely my planks of the week this week, without a question. There's been the coverage on Sky Sports F1 this week. I am still going to go with Channel 4 as my broadcaster. And also as well, I don't really have anyone else to nominate. Zach, what's your plank of the week this week whilst you're here?
I think it's Lando. Unfortunately, I think it's Lando. We all know why. I think it was just very bizarre from him overall. So yeah, I just very, very, very silly for him, and he's the plank of the week for me. So yeah.
Well, that's our planks of the week this week. If you want to listen to any more planks of the week, please let us know and drop them in the comments. Exactly what you thought our planks of the week were. Anyway, on more of a highlight of the week now, let's talk about the 24 Hours of Le Mans, because wow, oh wow, was there a surprise in this one. The winner of this race was an ex-F1 driver, a guy who nearly 14 years ago nearly lost his life in a horrifying rally accident in the Ronde d'Adora rally. I am talking about Robert Kubica. What a comeback he has had over these last few years, you know, getting back in, racing an F1 car for Williams, just getting back into F again. It's a great comeback to see. I know he didn't do that well in the sport, but it was just amazing to see him back in racing. And to win Le Mans in 2025, wow. What a win. In a Ferrari, I think was privately entered for this race. Well done to him. Congratulations to him, to the team that he was driving for. You know, we saw potentially Cadillac could do well in qualifying. You know, they look really quick. But, you know, he said as well in an interview that criticism of his F1 return did hurt. But I have to say, Kubica drove really well, deserved that win massively. Because it is one of the hardest events on the entire standings, by the way. Obviously, there has been a disqualification, which is what we're going to get onto now. He's running a bit slow tonight. He's not 100% playing. It's playing up. It's not 100% itself. His laptop. So I am going to quickly, if I can't get the results from that, I will get them on my phone. But just to confirm, guys, Le Mans 24-hour 2025 results. It was Robert Kubica who took the win this year in the Le Mans adjusted grid. So Hypercar was won by Robert Kubica and Philip Hanser and Guido in number 83 AF Course Ferrari. The number 6 Porsche, driven by Lawrence Vanthoor, Kevin Estre, and Matt Campbell. Matt Campbell, I think, finished third. Alex Lynn, the first of the Cadillacs, came home. The Cadillac Joe to number 12 car. Alex Lynn, Norman Nato, and Will Stevens came home fourth. They actually, I think, finished within about 30 seconds of each other. and fifth was the Toyota Gazoo Racing, Mike Conway, Nick De Vries, and Kamui Kobayashi. That was in hypercar. Meanwhile, in LMP2 results, Inter Europol competition, the number 43 car won by Judician Coley, Tom Dillman, Nick Yelly was first in that class ahead of Panis Racing, Obrey, E. Masson, and F. Pereira. I've struggled pronouncing their names. And Paul Hayek, D. Cameron, and Louis Delatraz were third in that class. And the GTE honours, an LMGTE, that went to the number 92 car in that one, which I believe might have been an Aston Martin, or I don't know the exact car on there. It doesn't say. It was R. Hardwick, R. Pereira, and R. Litz who finished first ahead of the number 21 AF Course Vista car of Big Ferrari, of Three Heroes, Steve Mann, and a Rover as well. So that's all the results in the Le Mans 24 Hours. I know McLaren were running, I think, in the GTE class as well. Zach, what's your assessment on the Le Mans 24 Hours 2025, including a win for Robert Kubica?
Yeah, first of all, congratulations to Robert Kubica and Yaya and Phil Hansen. I think he is. I think, Phil, all those three for winning the Le Mans 24 Hours in that car. A really fantastic job overall by then. And obviously we have to remember that Robert Kubica used to be, has obviously gone through a long career as well. And he had a lot of his lots of ups and downs, but this will be the big win as well. It's on the same weekend that he won the Canadian Grand Prix before, by the way, many years ago for his first one, coming back from that horror incident in 2007 and other accidents beyond that as well. And it's, again, a sensational job for him as well. Let's go through the rest of the results, actually, overall, and try and find what happened to him. So if we go through to the results, the 983 AF Course team, Ferrari team, winning that one ahead of the Porsche number 6 Penske, the Ferrari AF Course 51 as well. And then there was, I think, in fourth position, originally was number 80, wasn't it? The 83 AF Corsa. The 50 course Ferrari, piloted by Antonio Fuoco, Miguel Milan, and Nicholas Nelson, got disqualified from the result for, I think, violations of discovered to have a major rear wing defection, which breached the technical regulations of the World Endurance Championship rulebook, and therefore got disqualified from the results as well. Imagine driving in 24 hours only to find out disqualified. That's going to be a painful one for them, definitely, as well. But yeah, so it's the fourth place of the Cadillac of Alex Lee, Norman Atto, and Will Stevens. Fifth position was Troy Gatz of Mike Conway, Nick De Vries, and Kobayashi. And then sixth was Porsche Penske. The seventh was the 38 Cadillac. Eighth was the Porsche Penske. Ninth was the Alpine. 10th was the Alpine as well. 11th was the Peugeot. 12th Aston Martin. The 13th was the Proton. Aston Martin 14th, 15th, Toyota 15th, Peugeot 16th, BMW 17th as well. That's a really important one for them. So yeah, really congratulations to Robert Kubica as well. The winners also in LMP2 was the Inter Europol competition team of Tom Dillerman, Jacob Skimelski, Nick Yelly, and then the LMP2 Pro-Am was Dan Cameron, Louis Delatrave, and PJ Hyatt in Yeo, and then the LMGT3 was Manfred Firstborn with Ryan Hardwick, Richard Lutz, and Ricardo Pietra winning that one as well. Congratulations to all those class winners as well who won that race.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting event. Le Mans 24 Hours is one of those iconic events in motorsport, and it's an event we always watch. And in LMP2 as well, I saw Paul di Resta actually went out just into the night. The Peugeot unfortunately broke down or actually no, hit the wall coming into the Porsche curves, and actually the Resta had to went back to the pits. It cost them a hell of a lot of time in that one. I don't actually know where they ended up finishing that car that crashed out during that race. Yes, Paul di Resta sadly, sadly and hit the wall. There was DNFs for 3 drivers, 3 cars in LMP2. I think they must have still got back into the race because it says it's not been this DNF must have been classified as well. But yes, that is it for Le Mans 24 Hours. I said Formula 1 are in Austria next, and so are obviously, well, Endurance Championship go to another venue. Moving on now to IndyCar. They are back this weekend at Road America. Obviously, last week we had the Worldwide Technologies Raceway, a horrifying accident for Joseph Newgarden and one other driver that got involved in that crash last week. Thankfully, both drivers walked away unscathed. Horrible accident, I have to say. It's one of the worst crashes I've seen in IndyCar for a long time. Joseph Newgarden was very, very lucky to survive that one in the IndyCar. That was at Worldwide Technologies Raceway, by the way. And yes, well, just not ideal when you crash in an IndyCar race. Louis Foster as well involved. But Zach Cole Kirkwood took the honours in the Barmarito Automotive Group 500 at Worldwide Technologies Raceway.
Yeah, it's either Alex Palou or either Kyle Kirkwood. And again, it's Kyle Kirkwood doing the honours. I think it's his 3rd victory of the season for him as well. And he won in good style. He did as well. And I'm very surprised that he's the one that can manage to get out of this all so good and so fun. And he does well. He does really well. And fair play to him. He managed to master that race particularly good as well. So well done to Kyle Kirkwood on that one. There were a few incidents as well in that race as well. I think there's one car that went upside down during it. I can't remember who it was now, but someone went upside down during the race.
It was Louis Foster and Joseph Newgarden.
Yeah, they're the ones. They had a bit of an incident there as well, quite a big accident as well. But thankfully, all drivers came out okay as well. So I'm glad that was the case. But good race under the lights at there as well. So next up, I believe I think they're back next week, if I'm correct in saying. They are next week. This week actually. We are back this weekend, back-to-back races. It's the Grand Prix at Road America as well. Last year we were power on the race as well. But this time I imagine we were a bit more of a trickier circuit to master than Gateway as well. So looking forward to that one as well. 6:30 p.m. UK time if we were to watch that one.
Yeah, it should be an exciting race, the IndyCar, for sure. And quickly as well, we'll go over the NASCAR. The first up of this show has certainly been packed full of motor racing. There's just been so much of it. NASCAR, meanwhile, we haven't covered that for a week, so I thought I'd cover that. By the way, they actually went, I think, to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. I didn't see the whole highlights, but I saw who won it, and it is the master of, the master of road courses. He's a V8 supercar, multiple V8 supercar champion. Shane Van Gisbergen took the win in the Trackhouse powered Chevrolet Camaro, I believe it was. Van Gisbergen won again. He won in Chicago. He won on another street track or another road course. He's won in Mexico. Wow. Obviously, they used a modified version of the F1 circuit, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Christopher Bell finished in second. He's certainly one of the protagonists this year for the championship. Chase Elliott was third. Alex Bowman fourth. Michael McDowell was fifth in that one as well. They were the top 5, followed by John Hunter Nemechek sixth. Chase Briscoe was seventh as well. And then also we had a few other drivers inside the top 10 as well for good measure. In fact, Shane Van Gisbergen actually scored 50 points in a number 88 powered Chevrolet Camaro there for Trackhouse Racing. Unfortunately, though, again, this laptop is still not doing well tonight. Zach, what's your assessment on the NASCAR race in Mexico?
Shane Gavin Gibson, the master of the road course, doing so well as always, and in NASCAR's first visit to Mexico City. I think they should return again. I think it was a brilliant race overall. Shane Van Gibson winning well ahead of Christopher Bell. And then you had Chase Elliott in third position. You had Alex Bowman in fourth, Michael Waddell fifth, John Huntington at sixth, Chase Briscoe seventh, Cole Custer eighth, William Byron ninth, and Chris Buescher in 10th. Again, Shane Van Gibson, an absolute dominant drive on the road course. So suited to these race circuits as well. It shows his brilliance on and off it. It's just fantastic to see. So well done, Shane Van Gibson, and overall.
It's weird, you know, going from V8 supercars to NASCAR is not an easy thing to do. But, you know, doing a road course like that, we used to race in that championship. It shows you why he is a very capable driver. We saw that with Scott McLaughlin. He's in IndyCar and unfortunately hasn't really come back after that first race. So, yeah, it's a shame, really. Anyway, NASCAR's next race is
Pocono.
Going to be, I believe they're back on the normal
Pocono.
oval schedule next time.
Pocono.
So, yeah, that will be very...
Yeah, Pocono. He's frozen again, poor lad. They're at Pocono. I think it's trucks. I think it's the NASCAR Truck Series. Are at Pocono. Let me just check. Yeah, let me do that. Xfinity is.
Hello,
yeah,
guys. I'm very sorry about that. My laptop has decided to shut down completely, so I am now officially on via a my phone at the moment. Just bear with me a second because I am literally having to sort out this stream. Can everyone hear me now? Sorry about that.
I can hear you.
It was weird. That's so bizarre having my laptop freeze up. So I'm back on it. But as I said, you know, the next race for the NASCAR Cup Series, I'm just getting it up now once my laptop finally decides to have it say, yeah, they're back on the Great American Gateway 400, which will be at, I believe it's Pocono. That's the next race as well. So I'm going to try and rejoin back on my laptop now. I know that it's been playing up tonight. Anyway, we're going to move on now and do the politics whilst I'm setting back up again. Zach, Donald Trump has been having meetings over the last few days with senior advisors in his federal government and his cabinet over what to do next on Iran.
Yeah, and he, although it appears that he, based on the press briefings, that he looked like he made his mind up, in really, honestly, he hasn't. This beats been briefings to the press, Wall Street Journals, New York Times, Axios, that he was about to involve the US in military strikes against Iran to help the Israelis destroy the nuclear bunkers that they get deep down cannot happen without Israeli strikes and needs US support instead. Now, the rumors was that he approved them all, but we seem to be going for a bit of a ride with Mr. Trump. Today, Press Secretary Karen Levitt came to the press room with a statement from Trump and says that the Iranians are actually interested in negotiations with the USA, and that instead, because of that, he will decide in 2 weeks' time whether he would actually going to go for a strike on Iran rather than now it's been reported. So we're being taken for a complete yo-yo with Trump at the moment. Is he? Isn't he? Is he not? Is he? Well, we don't know. It sounds like the initial decision was yes, but he's waiting to see whether the Iranians are actually willing to negotiate and come back to the table before deciding whether to go for a strike on Iran's nuclear facilities in the bunker. Quite frankly, I think if he's going to do it, he should just get on with it, quite frankly. I think there's more to gain from destroying Iran's nuclear facilities than than not. And I also have to say as well is that Iran has been heavily damaged by Israeli strikes on their own facilities this week as well. And actually, it's that you can tell it's weakened their capacity to launch mini rockets into Tel Aviv. Unfortunately, there has been some instances this week where the air defences have failed to catch some rockets and has hit some targets, including today an Israeli hospital in Tel Aviv, where it's hit there as well. I think it's deeply appalling. I have to say, so far, I don't really criticise the ways that Israel's targeting, the Iranian facilities at the moment. I can't criticise them because I think it's how they should be doing it so far. But it's disappointing to see Iranians have decided in response to target civilian facilities, including the hospitals as well. I have to say it's really bad to see that happening as well, and appalling to see it as well. If I was the US, I'd just simply get involved and get rid of their nuclear facilities now and forever. I mean, because if the Iranians don't really negotiate, then they should just go in and just wipe them out. And I think that's my sort of view on that as well.
Zach, there has been a lot of divide over the right, particularly in America, regarding, we'll say, the MAGA right, with Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, who have both, even Tucker Carlson, criticising Donald Trump's approach on this issue.
Yeah, interesting to see the divide on between the MAGA base on this, actually, about whether they should Trump should get involved. I mean, there's some that say that we shouldn't be involved forever wars and blah 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 blah. That Trump will say pull out and then actually probably get himself involved in this. And then there's those who are saying that he should get involved in destroying Iran's nuclear facilities anyways. Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz are the exact of those that are two very different opinions battling it out on the air about what they should do. I mean, Tucker Carlson has turned into a sort of an agent for Iran and Russia recently. I mean, over the years, I'm afraid. So, and he's just become full of himself. So it's no wonder why he's gone down the deep hole there. But yeah, it's very interesting to divide between the MAGA base on this. I mean, actually, if Trump decides to do that, I actually think he's right on this. He would be on the right side, and I think many Americans would support a strike on the nuclear facilities of Iran.
It's the thing is, and I'm worried about this actually, is remember Syria all those years ago when Blair got us involved in that? Well, Tony Blair, people claim Tony Blair got us involved in the war of Iraq, and George W. Bush got America involved in that war as well. I mean, Zach, do you think this has got Iraq written all over it, or do you think this is a different position to where we was, say, 20 odd years ago?
So I think this is a different position. This is nothing like Iraq, in my view. This is a different position. This is targeting the nuclear facilities. And I think we're only necessary for the US to start expanding their war operation, or Israel, if it starts involving personnel from like US bases or in Iraq, for example. But I do not think this is a situation like Iraq. This is nothing like that, and I think it's the right move to make. If he strikes, I think it's the right move.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how that goes anyway. Well, that's the end there of that conflict. Now, please let me know down in the comments what you make to the latest news in America, and geopolitically as well, regarding the Iran and Israel crisis. Moving on now to some news from the UK. Zach, I'm going to go over some of the things that happened this week in the UK quickly. There was the HS2 hearing debate in Parliament the other day, where there was a debate on HS2's potential reform or scrapping HS2, or there was a debate in Parliament about that, and I saw some of Nigel Farage give points of order, and a few other MPs, even parties on the Labour Party, giving points of order about this as well. And there's also this week been some news regarding some more UK affiliated things as well. Even reports of the hottest day of the year potentially happening this week at 30 degrees as well. Zach, what's your assessment been on the news in the UK this week?
Yeah, a lot of stuff this week. First of all, let's mention HS2. It's been postponed by another 2 years because of rising costs, unorganized budgets on that one again. I mean, we've heard this one before. I think it's been really awfully managed from the start. I'm afraid because of the I think a 2 year delay is necessary in this circumstance to get everything back on the balance. But yeah, it really is. Completely it's just again tells you something. Well, we have to still rack up years and years of developing major infrastructures in the United Kingdom overall. Second thing also to mention as well, big U-turn by the Prime Minister this week, who's announced there will be a national inquiry after we went into the Pakistani grooming gangs across that have been terrorizing many young girls across the UK for many, many years. Now, it looks like a bit of an embarrassing U-turn, I have to say. But now that Louise Casey has come out for it in her review and has blamed the British institution for many failures as well, there's fault from all sides on this. First of all, the Conservative government for not even trying to bother with this. They were against national inquiry, then they're for national inquiries to get on the bandwagon. But now that Louise Casey's recommended a national inquiry, it looks like the Prime Minister has decided now he can't really say no. So he's gone along with it after all. Kevin Badenoch's response, by the way, was completely embarrassing in the House of Commons. No substance whatsoever. He didn't even read the review. And yeah, very embarrassing stuff for Kevin Badenoch. I think it's just embarrassing for all sides, really, that this has had to happen as well. And yeah, that's mainly stuff as well. There's also the G7 meeting between Canada at the moment. President Zelensky's been there. President Carney's obviously hosting it as well. Keir Starmer's been over there. Of course, the other major G7 countries. Donald Trump left early to focus on developments in the war in the Middle East. I thought they were about to get involved when he was about to leave, but clearly not. I felt it was a very premature departure from the US overall, but from Canada overall. But yeah, really not much going on at the moment. I will just cover what to look forward to the weeks ahead, obviously right now, because I've also got the Middle East stuff to mention that's going to be keeping on the headlines. But tomorrow's quite significant because outside of events in the Middle East, tomorrow is a significant day because tomorrow is the third reading of the assisted dying bill in the House of Commons. So this is the final stage of the bit of the terminally ill and end of life terminally ill adults bill that's been led by King Leadbeater. The votes are tight at the moment. It is looking tight on the votes. And now final passage depends on a free vote on the House of Commons tomorrow, and then it'll be off to the Lords for its considerations. But yeah, if it passes third reading, it's a momentous decision that will be taken on conscience by MPs tomorrow. And in my view, I hope they pass it through. I think adults, terminally ill adults, should have the right to end their life when they feel like they can no longer give it any longer. And I feel like the safeguards are fine in there. I don't see too much issue with it. I know there's been quite a lot of changes since the first implementation. But yeah, it's really interesting.
Well, that's all the latest news there from the UK. I just want to also touch on something as well last week that I uncovered. So I'm going to go over this again. Halal meat. Now, I'm going to go a bit more in depth on it this week because last week I kind of just mentioned it very quickly. Now, Rupert Lowe has been calling for the ban of halal meat. We can confirm that is to do with slaughtering of animals, which I think, by the way, now I'm not a vegetarian, okay, but I do think these animals get treated horribly, okay. You know, it is referred to as Islamic law as defined as Quran. It's the Islamic form of slaughtering, where they include cut to the throat, severing the jugular vein, cartridge, artery, and windpipe. Now, Obviously, they are sold in supermarkets. They're usually branded with halal labels on them. But I wanna say this, okay? Because according to a week, halal slaughter is intended to be humane as a hygienic method. Now, that's according to one thing. Now, one of the things that has been mentioned is the government, according to this, the government claimed that they rejecting a call to ban for the animals of defending the rights for Jews and Muslims to eat. Now, look, according to this, the motion was put forward after Rupert Lowe standing an independent row of Nigel Farage. According to this, after a row of Nigel Farage, he left the party. During the debate, Daniel Zenshaw, the Minister for Rural Affairs, said the government's preference that all animals should be stunned before slaughter, have the government respect the Jews to eat, with the beliefs therefore must contain religious slaughter animals from consumption. We believe that this is in various decision to slaughter the freedom. Since then, all welfare, animal welfare concerning all sort of methods continuing new requirements for EU that apply to sort of animals and avoidable pain. Also, as well, some supermarkets have also been selling products, including Tesco, Sainsbury's, and I think Marks and Spencer as well have also been selling these products in special stands that we've seen in UK supermarkets. This is a UK supermarket having a halal stand of food. Now, I'm going to get Zach. I'm going to get Zach's opinion on this. I mean, look, it for me. Okay, when you look at Sir David Amos, who championed animal welfare for a long time, and animal cruelty, obviously, he wanted to protect animals. It is becoming clear now that supermarkets definitely want to have more in the way of halal products being used. But it is also coming to a fact that in the UK, halal generally doesn't have much of a meaning. Well, I'd say more in other countries, it has a lot of a meaning, really. But in this country, does it have a meaning? That's the question of a debate in Parliament that I think needs to happen. And looking at this here, okay, according to this, I found supermarkets that have been listed on this, including the likes of Tesco, Morrison's, and even Asda, Sainsbury's as well included, who have been selling halal meals. I think we've sold a couple. My Tesco doesn't have a lot of halal meals in, but I know that we've got a couple of frozen ones at some other Tesco's. Some people claim they've stopped shopping with Tesco or with Sainsbury's or other supermarkets over this halal meal thing. Yes. So this is what I'm on about. This is halal. That's one halal photograph that I found of Tesco. This is a Tesco one there. That's a Sainsbury's. I think a Sainsbury's one as the one there. Zach, what do you make to this recent news about halal coming into supermarkets and particularly as well on markets? Because there is a sense that debates may need to happen around this issue. Because to be honest with you, the government may have to act on this.
Yeah, I always think I actually this is one of the rare things I actually agree with Rupert Lowe on, that this sort of meat from cruelty should not be sold from cruelty. And I have to say I agree with him on this one. I just think we shouldn't be importing this animal cruelty and into United Kingdom. We should be using sustainable measures if we want to help sold meat that are less cruel and is actually going to have less impact. But yeah, I agree. I agree with Rupert Lowe for once. It's cruel to be selling this sort of thing overall, and actually, I don't think it should be allowed. As you can see there, it's sold across multiple supermarkets, and I see. I know it's a cultural thing for some countries, but I don't think it's a good idea to be doing that sort of thing. Absolutely not at all.
I suppose at the end of the day, when you look at this graph, like Tesco, according to his chicken, up to 5% is halal. All New Zealand and 35% UK leg of lamb is halal. Beef is no halal beef sold. Shangri-La, the halal meat range, 40 stores. Waitrose, no halal chicken sold. All lamb is halal. All beef, no beef is halal. Does not sell any halal range only. Marks and Spencer claim that no halal chicken is sold. New Zealand lamb is halal. No halal beef is sold. Does not sell any other halal range in own halal range, according to Chicken Beef In Sainsbury's, they claim no halal chicken is sold, but all lamb is halal, and Tahrir halals in 42 stores. Asda refused to commit. Summerfield claimed that no halal chicken is sold. New Zealand lamb is halal, and then Co-op have claimed that no halal chicken is sold. New Zealand lamb is halal. No halal beef is sold. 3 London stores have sold halal. Zach, what do you make of this table? Because it's very interesting. Some supermarkets, the way they're marketing all this. Because to be honest with you, it's very interesting that, you know, as a shopper, how would you feel going into a store looking at these products?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even a meat eater as well, and yeah, it's just I feel uncomfortable to think that we're slaughtering the murder of animals and then consuming it and cruelly in cruel methods. I mean, there's we normally have fine methods here, but then we have cruel methods like other countries, and we just don't think we should allow them to be selling them off the profits of them. I just think it's really bad.
It's a shame. I mean, I watched the video of a cow being slaughtered and stuff. You get them served pre-stunned or slaughtered, and they slaughter these animals. It is horrible. You know, look, I don't know. I think 3 MPs have signed this bill so far. I don't know how many it takes for it to have a debate in Parliament, but it'd be very interesting to see whether, you know, what do you think the government will do on this? Do you think the government will debate this, or do you think
I hope
there won't
so.
be a potential motion on it?
I hope so. I imagine they will eventually come to the position. Yeah, I think hopefully they'll come to the position eventually and decide that this is worth having a conversation about. I think it is worth having a conversation about.
Anyway, before we go on and do the musical interlude, Zach, what are your thoughts this week on the death of Kim Woburn, who died at the age of 83 this week? Yeah,
very sad news overall. What a lovely person overall, and yeah, it's just a very sad shame. Musical legend and all that sort of thing as well, and yeah, my thoughts are with his friends and family.
Yeah, such a shame to hear the news of death of Kim Woburn, obviously known for being a celebrity. You know, I think appeared on Lose Women, several other shows this morning. Very popular, of course, on ITV. Such a shame to hear her death at the age of 83. She even appeared on Dan Wootton's show a lot as well on GB News. So certainly had the rivalry with Philip and Holly. She never used to criticise. Never used to hold back comments on Lorraine Kelly as well. So certainly going to be very interesting in that respect. Now it's time for a musical interlude, guys. And it's time now for a song that I think you'll all know. It's a song about the media. And particularly an artist, Michael Jackson, plays this week with a song from his 1995 studio album, History. They don't care about us. We'll see you in a few minutes' time.
Unfortunately, in my opinion, they deserve a very small penalty. It's very hard to defend these type of more than me. But unless you are 100% sure you can't. He goes the right way. Yeah, absolutely. I think we can talk about Messi tonight, so why don't we do it again? Because it wasn't just the hosting play. Overall, every touch was just absolute delight to watch each Yeah, it was unbelievable. It just feels like even now, still, and you're probably not going to lose it because his brain is just it feels like above everyone else. But it's not every decision he makes seems to be the right one.
Every moment of the game, his decision making is 99% correct. He still has a celebrate. It's not him sprinting, and he still has that celebrate where he can beat anyone. So we are in for a good competition, and we are in for some making magic with
Yeah, absolutely. And as you can imagine, the whole of social media was absolutely wild when Lionel Messi got a free kick in, the best cooking ever period, and then he won. Lionel Messi, 68 free kicks, someone else said there is no player past, present, and future that can or will be better than Messi. Nobody has the kind of ability that he has. Just too complete. I'm not so sure about Lionel Messi. And rightly so, because this is struggle helped Inter Miami to beat Porto 2-1 in Group A. Coming up after the break, we'll have more reactions to this game and what the moment of magic it was from the little Argentine magician. We'll also look at the other games in Group A and what happened between Al Hilal and they took on Al Ahly.
Thank you there to Michael Jackson with the song They Don't Care About Us. One of my favourite songs by the King of Pop there from his 1995 album History Past, Present and Future Book 1. Yes, a song about presidents of the United States, the media. Zach, what did you make to that song? Very controversial song, wasn't it? Because it got banned at one point.
It was very controversial at the time because it's very political, very motivated, and yeah, it got banned and didn't get touched with a barge pole. But it's all right these days. We can free speech.
Yeah, I know there were some anti-Semitism comments apparently made by some of the organisers. The claim that it referenced Jewish remarks or something. Mind you, having said that, so did the Labour Party have had that all their life. So say all their life, but Jeremy Corbyn certainly had that issue, and that's why he had to resign. So yeah, not a great view on the background of Corbyn supporters. But anyway, that's that news done there. Obviously, that's the song, of course, that's playing this week. Moving on now to actually, funny enough, we're going to start conversation off. I actually forgot to do one thing. The Premier League fixtures are out this week. I know some people might have said, "Oh, Charlie, why haven't you done the football?" Well, the Premier League fixtures are out this week. In Conversation Street, just quickly before we move on to do the final part of that, we're going to just quickly go through the Premier League fixtures. So we're going to do the main opening week, just like the first matches, because there's so many matches to go through. It will take us ages. Man City have also been handed a huge fine for breaking up for 9 matches as well. Obviously, the matches got released, and Zach, there's some spicy ones for the first match day of the season, which takes place literally in about a couple of months' time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say, looking at the fixtures for the list as well, I find some of the first weekend's quite fascinating. Because you got the first game of the season, the reigning champions Liverpool against Bournemouth, which is that'll be a good one. I think one of the matches I'm looking forward to the first weekend, Villa v Newcastle, because they were both in the top 6 this season, so that's a really good matchup between the two of them in terms of in terms of a matchup there. Manchester United v Arsenal on the first weekend of the season. That's a biggie as well. We'll see whether United has really improved, and then whether Arsenal have got the capability to actually fight for a title this season as well. Then then you got another big six matchup: Man City v Spurs on the 23rd. The 30th of August. It's not really. You got Liverpool v Arsenal that weekend. You got the Manchester derby on the 13th of September, as well as West Ham v Spurs. Then on the 20th of September, it's a massive weekend of football. That one. There's three major fixtures that weekend: Arsenal, Manchester City, the Merseyside derby, Liverpool, Everton, and Man United v Chelsea. All significant games that weekend as well. I should mention as well. Whilst I'm at it, Everton's first new game at their new stadium is on the 23rd against Brighton. Nice low-key fixture for them to start off with as well. But yeah, interestingly as well, I should mention as well this year, looking at the fixtures, there is no fixtures on Boxing Day. There is no Boxing Day round this season. Instead, it's on Saturday the 27th. Now, that doesn't mean to say that matches will get moved to Boxing Day, because that probably will do, but it's been treated as a weekend round rather than a sort of midweek round this season, which is a bit different than what it used to be before. However, that means now that Tuesday, the 30th of December, is now a midweek round, where all games will be televised that weekend as well. There's also a midweek straight afterwards on the 7th of January as well. So there's really quick successions of midweeks as well. So you've got the 30th, the 3rd, and the 7th of January, all significant fixtures going on that weekend as well. And that includes Arsenal v Liverpool, by the way, as well, should I mention as well, in that set of fixtures. So yeah, that's a decent set of fixtures to look forward to as well. And yeah, I have to say, it's really good set of fixtures, I think, overall as well. But yeah, the last day with fixtures, all of it will be on Sky, by the way, for the first time. Let's go for the last game of fixtures, which are on the Sunday, the 24th of May. You've got significant game: Manchester City v Aston Villa, I think will be the significant one. Liverpool v Brentford, Crystal Palace v Arsenal, Chelsea v Sunderland as well to look forward to in that round as well. And yeah, that could provide significant towards the end of the season there.
Yeah, and I've quickly got my Instagram open. I've just found some Premier League news about the matches as well. Obviously, as I said, the Premier League got announced the other day as well. First match week: Liverpool, Bournemouth, Aston Villa, Newcastle, Brighton, Fulham, Forest, Brentford, Sunderland, West Ham, Spurs, Burnley, Wolves, Man City. So they're all on the Saturday. Liverpool, Bournemouth, a Friday night. By the way, it's a Friday night start again, 8 o'clock on that 15th August. Sunday, the 17th August, Chelsea, Palace, Man U, Arsenal's the 4:30 kickoff on the Sunday, and 8 o'clock Monday night football, Leeds, Everton on that first weekend. Thought I'd just go over that again just to clarify the fixtures for that weekend there. Obviously, as well, as I said, lots, obviously, 3 new priority teams. Burnley up as well. Sunderland back in the Premier League, first time in a long time. They got West Ham on their first game. And then, obviously, the other promoted team as well, Leeds, will play Everton. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they get on, the new 3 promoted clubs. Yeah, that's all the football from that. And the final thing before we finish the show off tonight, Zach, the final thing I'm going to talk about is the weather. This weekend could be the hottest weekend of the year. My fan is certainly going spinning around in my bedroom tonight. Certainly, people have been getting the fans out of these last few nights. It's been very humid. And this weekend on Saturday, particularly, we could be seeing the hottest day of the year so far.
Yeah, we could be looking at well over 30 degrees on Saturday at the moment as well. It's 29 today, actually, I should mention as well. It's very hot today. Meant to cool down a little bit tomorrow It's going to be on 25 tomorrow by the looks of it. Then it's meant to cool down Sunday a little bit. It's going to be 27, and then Monday's going to be the coolest day actually of the week next week at 22 degrees. So yeah, it's very hot at the moment. It's getting a lot more sticky, and we're having the first prolonged period of heat waves on the way as well. It is very hot and very humid across the board overall, and I can feel it as well. Definitely. I mean, so I'm normally sitting in a nice cool room actually as well, which is helpful. But yeah, I am feeling it across the room as well. But yeah, 32 degrees Saturday, very likely. Some of it we could even get to mid 30s, depending on depending on some areas as well. So yeah, it's a hot one. And yeah, and the temperatures are rising.
Yes, and apparently, according to this, I believe there was actually the hottest day of the year. According to what I've read up, Heathrow, London actually saw 32.2 degrees, higher than the previous record for 2025, 29.4 in Suffolk on the 13th of June. So there was actually an increase in temperature. So yeah, it's going to get sticky. Very uncomfortable nights of sleeping coming up. As I said, please take precautions. Try and make sure you stay cool as you can over this period. It's certainly been very humid outside. So yeah, definitely going to be warm coming up as well. Obviously, if you're going out, make sure you wear plenty of sun cream. Obviously, if you're a hay fever sufferer, just take note of pollen levels. And make sure, obviously, you wear sun cream as much as you can. Maybe try and stay in the shade as much as possible. But obviously, enjoy the sunshine. Enjoy it. I know some people don't like this weather. It is difficult, for a lot of people. Particularly if you're going to big outdoor events where there's not much shade, it can be tough, But like I said, there is plenty of stuff to do. And, I'm certainly expecting it to be very busy tomorrow and over this weekend with the warm weather coming. That is it for the Tonight Show podcast tonight. Thank you so much for watching the show. And Zach, what do you expect will happen in the next week ahead in the world of politics?
Yeah, as I mentioned, it'll be all about the Middle East. But tomorrow, I think there'll be a particular focus on the assisted dying bill going through Parliament as well. It's the third reading, so it's the final reading in the Commons. And yeah, it will be very significant tomorrow, the vote.
Yes, that is it for the Tonight Show podcast this week. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again next time for another edition of the show. Take care, everyone, and good night.